Alrighty. Let's see. Hey, Big Budden, how's it going? Let's see. Trying a new background again today, and I'm also going to look into whether or not we can actually boost the stream. I've seen an option before, previous time, that lets you boost the stream. So let's see if that yeah, okay, I found it. Option to promote. So this will be interesting, right? I've never actually tried boosting a live stream. I've tried boosting videos before, but I don't know, it could be really interesting to see what happens if we try boosting a live stream. You know? Okay, let's give it a go. For £5, we can boost the stream. Might be interesting. All right. Tick that box and agree with it. There's no way to do it. It's not letting me do it. Oh wait, yeah, okay. So yeah, just bear with me, everyone. Okay. Successful. All right, yeah, the money has come out. So yeah, looks like it's doing it. It should start boosting the stream. Well, it has to get reviewed first. Why do you make funny expressions with the people you're debating? Because I'm laughing at them inside, basically, or I'm just amazed by what they say, shocked by what they say, basically. Can we start the debates? Yeah, as soon as someone joins the queue, we'll get some debates going. Will they be a Neanderthal? Or will they be smart and understand that suffering is wrong? Yeah, we'll get some debates going as soon as somebody joins the queue. Absolutely. What's the best method for total extinction? It's euthanasia. So yeah, euthanasia is to ethically put life back in the box, basically. It's different from just murder, because then, that says you can cause any amount of suffering and be, irresponsible. Why should everyone have to go? So that there's no suffering ever again, basically. That's the only fair thing. It's not fair to have suffering. It's not fair to have, lives of pure hell and extreme suffering. All right, Luca wants to come back in. Let's get him on.
Yeah, man.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, do you remember me?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so there's one question I want to ask you. Well, two, basically. I want to ask, how's your relationship with your family? And how's your relationship about having kids? Do you want to have kids?
Yeah, my relationship with my family is pretty good. And regarding having kids, it's something I might do in the future, or I might donate sperm so that I can have thousands of kids.
So you want to bring kids to suffer?
We have to, have active solutions, basically. And currently, humanity is the only solution to suffering. So we're the solution, not the problem.
So you want to bring more people or more kids to kill?
Well, no, that's going to happen anyway. So we're just
well, if they're going to happen anyway, why don't you bring it?
Sorry? Luca, are you still with us? No, Luca's given up. They realized that they didn't have an argument. Fair enough. Okay, well, let's wait for more people to join and to find the courage to take the debate stage and to speak out against suffering or for suffering. Will you be a caveman, or will you be on the side of the victims and the sufferers? Will you want to make them suffer, or will you want to make them not suffer and safe from suffering? All right, we've got someone coming up now, bringing them up. Hello, how you doing, Mr. X?
I'm doing good. So basically, do you want to end suffering, or do you want to bring suffering?
We want to abolish all suffering.
So, but isn't the way to end like all suffering? Isn't it like end humanity?
Yeah, the only way is with extinction.
But you say you want to bring more children.
So yeah, the thing is, humanity has to keep going temporarily until we've helped animals. So that could take hundreds or even thousands of years. So yeah, we have moral obligation to stay around for, and as soon as that's finished, then we can take care of ourselves after we've helped those that can't help themselves.
So I quite didn't understand the point. So you want to keep the animals, but you want to like end humanity, like
No, no,
as
no. So we have to help animals first because they can't help themselves. We have to do animal extinction first, and then we can do prevention of suffering and life ever coming back, and then we can move on to humanity.
okay. I got a question for you. I know you kind of think that will work, but I know you won't be able to like see that happen. So how do you
Why?
feel about that?
Why not?
I mean, I think you have to be empowered to do that because
Yeah,
like I
that's
don't
the
think.
plan. That's the plan.
Okay, so are you trying to like run for president or something or?
Well, our movement, the only way we can actually abolish suffering is if we do it as an authority. So, yeah, we do have to grow the movement until we have enough people to take over the world and start running it ethically and then do extinction.
What I mean by ethically, do you mean like running with guns and killing everyone, or
No, it's going to be done in the most ethical way that we can.
okay? Can you like explain more in like more details?
Yeah, so we have to do animal extinction with euthanasia. So yeah, we have to remove our dependence on them while removing the animal populations. And then we have to research how life develops and how to prevent it from developing and prevent evolution. And do that for as much of the world as we can before we do human extinction, which will be done by force in whatever is the best way at the time.
I mean, like if you think about it, there's like about like 8 billion people. I don't think like people will like agree to this. So how are you planning to like expand the movement? What's the plan?
Well, we're growing the movement by getting new activists on board, and then they're also helping to grow the movement and get new activists on board. And we're also growing the movement genetically as well by donating sperm to get more rational and empathetic genes out into the population. We can have thousands of children by doing that, and 20 years from now, that's thousands of potential new activists. Not all of them will necessarily have the same genetics, but there's a higher chance.
Okay. I got a last question for you. Are you Jewish or
Atheist,
atheist? I mean, like, what's your ethnicity? What's your background?
British.
Okay. I just had to. I wasn't like debating about it, so I just want to like ask you some questions. But thank you for answering all these questions. Have a
All
good
right.
day.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. And yeah, I'll give you a follow. Let's see. Yeah, we should all be following each other, right? Let's stay in the same circle, the same network. All right, next person coming up is Nicholas. Hello, how you doing?
Hello.
Hi.
Yes, I have one question about what you're speaking about.
Okay. Yeah,
Nigger,
sounds like you're having some extreme audio issues there. Moving on to the next person. Hello, how's it
All right,
going?
mate.
Yeah, how you doing?
Good. I just got a question. Do you think more people suffering is worse than the cause of the suffering? For example, if 100 people were to die in a less painful way, is that worse or better than if one person were to die like brutally?
It's hard to say, really. You'd have to sort of do the maths on it, basically. As simple as that, really. Yeah. I mean, if you've only got a split second to make the decision, then you just have to do whatever you can do best at the time. You might not make the right decision, but you'd have to try. But if you got more time, then you'd be able to think about it more and try and, based on the exact specifics of the circumstances as well, you'd still just have to try and do the best to see which would be the lesser of two evils.
Yeah, and just I've heard you say it a few times about the cases of the child abusers and how they shouldn't be allowed to cause any more suffering. And you've also said that people who aren't suffering shouldn't be allowed to cause the suffering. As you say, people don't care about the people who suffer. Do you think it's a greater deal of the people who cause more suffering or less suffering? Like, do you think there's more people that cause suffering than don't?
No, I think that it's mostly about nature and our circumstances that cause suffering. I think that the suffering that we cause each other is really negligible compared to just the fact that we're in this situation. We've got, illnesses, dangers, diseases everywhere. So yeah, we don't really think of it as suffering as being something strictly caused by people.
So yes, you also believe that if an animal were to cause someone suffering, they should also be like put down, or
Well, we think all animals should be put down.
okay. And just one last thing, you've said a few times that the idea of people living in a simulation is completely radical and there's nonsense behind it. What would you say to the thing that we already, I think we're closer to that than we are to the world domination side with things like VR, augmented reality, and things that can already enhance people's lives just by sitting on their sofa?
But VR doesn't prevent suffering, so it's not the same thing as a simulation, right?
I know, but it creates the reality around you, and that's what I think we're closer to. And you said you're close. I don't take
yeah, but again,
hundreds
that
of
doesn't prevent suffering, so it doesn't really help.
being in a simulation would, I feel.
Well, again, VR that we have today is not. We're not close to creating a simulation, right? That's just not the case. That's a very, very long way off, if it ever happens.
Yeah, and I think in my opinion, I think we're closer to that than we are achieving world domination for hundreds of years, then exterminating all life with people on your side.
Well, yeah, no, that doesn't really make sense. You see, VR and a simulation doesn't provide a certainty of safety. So we have to go with the only realistic way to end and prevent suffering, which is the certainty of non-existence, basically.
So if you could go, like, just obviously complete hypothetical, if you could go back in time, you would prevent all life from ever existing ever.
Yeah.
Okay, agree. Just thought I'd come up and ask a few questions then.
All right. Well, thank you for coming up. All right, moving on. Let's see who we've got next. We've got Mr. Abby joining us. Hello.
Hello. First of all, I do agree with your argument that suffering only exists if we do exist. But my counter argument is if for example, you have a magical button that you can click on and every species go extinct, after millions of years, wouldn't other species evolve again?
Yeah, exactly. So that's not good enough. We have
we
have to prevent life from developing.
So that's not possible. You need to eradicate the universe.
No, not necessarily.
Why?
Because if you do one planet, then you've helped that planet, for example. So you don't have to do the entire universe in order to help some. You're making the fallacy of saying that if we can't help everyone, we shouldn't help anyone.
Okay, but other species will evolve again. So we need.
So we should try
after
and
millions
prevent
of
that.
years.
Yeah, so
we need to.
We should do everything we can to prevent that from happening, instead of finding excuses to do nothing.
But it's gonna be a never-ending cycle.
Well, you don't know that unless you try. So you can be lazy and do nothing and find excuses, or you can actually try and do the right thing and do your best.
So we can all go extinct, and millions or billions years later, another species will evolve, and they need to go extinct too.
We should try and prevent that from happening.
Okay, we agree to disagree.
Well, why?
Because my argument is it's not possible.
Why?
Another species will evolve again.
Look, we've had the internet for 30 years, and you're saying what's possible in the future. That's a joke. Who do you think you are?
No, listen to my argument. If we all go extinct, yes.
Yeah.
Another species will evolve again.
So what? So if we can only help 5 out of 10 people, we shouldn't help them? That's a ridiculous argument.
No, my argument is it is a never-ending cycle. All of us will go extinct.
So let me ask you this.
Another species will evolve.
So if you see a child getting abused, you don't care because another species is going to evolve hundreds of millions of years from now. We just shouldn't do anything about suffering. That's just a stupid position to take, right? That's a
No,
position
but
that
your
says
argument
go and
is
abuse animals, go and abuse children. It doesn't matter. That's your position. That's stupid.
no. Your argument is total extinction is the end of suffering.
No, that's not true.
That's
When,
what's
when,
said
when did I say that?
behind
When
you,
did I say that? Okay, thank
right
you for
above
your
you.
straw mans. Thank you for not understanding anything, and thank you for that terrible argument. Right? Absolutely pathetic. Okay, so yeah, I mean, the idea that we shouldn't do Earth-wide extinction because another planet, on the other side of the universe might have life that we can't reach. That's just being stupid, basically. That's saying, yeah, let animals get tortured, let children get tortured, let them be born with extreme depression. Just ignore it because there might be aliens that we can't help. That's cuckoo, okay? And yeah, we might be able to help those aliens, and we won't know if we don't try. So your plan, your idea is let's do nothing, let's continue to allow psychopaths to have children and to torture animals. Let's just allow it and not even lift a finger to do anything because there might be aliens on another planet. And yeah, we might be able to help them, but let's not try either. So it's just insane. There's no argument there. It's rubbish. It should be thrown in the bin, that argument. That we should just do nothing, we shouldn't try to help anyone. That's just ridiculous, right? That's a very irresponsible position to take.
Hello, yes, I have one question.
Okay.
So, do you believe in equal rights as of the race? So, do you think all black people are equal to white people?
Well, I would say that different people
I like
have,
that you think about. Yes. Tell
I
me.
would say that different people have different levels of intelligence, and that
Yes, that's
that's a
correct.
myth that people have right now, that everyone
So,
has
do you
the same
think
brain.
niggers, nigger?
Right. Well, you see, I would say that, if you're trying to be racist and say that other people of other races are less intelligent, then they can't be less intelligent than you resorting to such childishness. Okay, let's move on. Next person. Hello, how you doing?
Oh, yo, what's up, man?
Yeah, Tyler will have you on next, but Shop, hello, how are you? Oh, for crying out loud. Right, getting back to the queue, bringing the next people on. Mr. S is joining us next. Hello,
Hello.
how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Well, I've been looking at your profile and I think it's very interesting, but I do have a question. Don't you think you'll be like deciding for other people?
Yeah,
Because
but
if
that's
you
the way the world works already.
I understand that, but like if you think total extinction is the best way to end human suffering, I'm translating it in my own words, but how are you better than the animals who are killing each other, than the people who are killing each other if you decide to kill everyone else?
It's not about being better, it's just about doing the right thing and providing safety from suffering.
All right, but like, how do you know that that's the right thing? You take away people's choice, you know what I mean?
Well, it's just obvious, isn't it, that providing safety is a good thing.
Providing safety by killing everyone.
Well, if killing is what you don't like, then extinction is your friend, because it's the only way to put an end to billions of years of more killing.
Right.
Didn't think about that, did you?
Well, I think you don't really understand my point.
Okay, well, why don't you help us understand?
All right, well, I think I agree with you that the world as it is right now is terrible. I 100% agree with you. But instead of changing the system to make humanity better, you decide to kill all humanity. I think we're skipping a few steps here. We don't have to kill everyone. We can change.
It's the safest way, the most effective way to guarantee certainty of safety, though.
Okay, but explain to me why I don't. Why
Think
do you
about
think
it this way, right? If I don't have a kid right now, it's guaranteed to be safe. It's very easy. It's very effective. It doesn't cost anything. But if you do have a kid, right, it's impossible to guarantee it won't have a bad life, right? It's physically impossible. You would need omniscience to have certainty of safety, and that's much less realistic and feasible than extinction, which has existed, for hundreds of years. People have been doing it with sticks and stones. Okay, so what's more realistic? The most unrealistic thing imaginable, in all of the world. Or something that's very easy to do with pretty much anything, even sticks and stones.
Okay, can I ask you a question? What do you think is the point of living? Why we're on this earth?
There is no point.
You think there's no point in living?
Well, you shouldn't need someone to tell you what the point is, right? You should try and think about that yourself. But, the idea that God has given you a point, there is no God coming to help. We have to look after ourselves.
That I do agree with, and it's not that I am searching for external validation to validate my own points of existence. I'm just asking you, since you want to kill all humanity.
For there to be a point, that would imply some sort of supernatural presence.
Who said that?
Me.
And you're correct all the time.
Well, why don't you use your brain and assess what I've said? You can't do it. That's why you need someone to tell you what the point is, if there is a point. You can't think for yourself.
Well, don't put words into my mouth.
Well, why don't you put some words in your own mouth so that we can understand what you're trying to say? Okay, Mr. S, thank you for joining us. It's been a fantastic conversation. And we're going to move on to William, who is supposedly a spicy meatball. Hello, how you doing?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Good, thank you.
So can you tell me what you believe in, just quickly?
I think he's going to be one of these. Right. We believe that we have to abolish all suffering, that suffering is unacceptable.
Who's we? Who's we?
Everyone.
What? Everyone? Because I don't agree with it personally.
Well, okay, everyone that
I have three people around me who want to talk to you about it. Is that all right?
Okay.
So if you think if you want to kill all humans, you'd be happy with killing yourself, right? So why don't you?
Because that wouldn't end all suffering. That would only help myself, no one else. That'd be selfish.
Don't you think that suffering is subjective?
No.
Why not?
Because it's just not subjective.
What about a person with an IQ so low they can't perceive emotion or anything? They're not going to suffer. The only way of suffering is from pain, and pain causes suffering. Suffering's a mindset.
You're not making any sense. That you just contradicted yourself.
No, pain causes suffering. Suffering doesn't cause pain.
Yeah, but pain is still a form of suffering, though.
Sorry?
Pain is still a terrible form of suffering.
Suffering you make up in your mind. You don't experience it.
That's ridiculous.
It's the owner of the account here. I don't necessarily completely disagree with what you're saying, right? But I believe this is the last resort. I feel like you're...
the last resort for who? For the sufferers, it should be.
But don't you think there's other alternatives
for the sufferers, it's the first resort. It's the only.
I was watching your live stream yesterday, and you mentioned how a baby is suffering by being born with cancer, right? But instead of just giving up, don't you think we should invest in more medicine towards?
No, because it's not fair on them, right? We shouldn't keep forcing them into unsafe conditions. It's not fair.
Yeah, but in the future.
Life shouldn't exist in unsafe conditions.
But in the future, right, if we just give it another 100 years, we could
that's not responsible or ethical, right? We have to
I have another question. Sorry.
The most thorough form of safety possible.
I have another question. So how do you suggest that so say everyone did agree to this, how would you suggest, well, not everyone, but say most people agreed to this and it was voted to be incorporated, how would you suggest that you end everyone's life through euthanasia?
We don't know yet. Like maybe we'd use a gas or something, guns.
But what about the people who
Who
don't
knows?
want to be euthanized? How would you get them to do it without them suffering?
Well, we'd probably have to hunt them down, round
But
them
isn't that
up.
them suffering by getting hunted down?
Well, yeah, but it's still the lesser of two evils compared to letting suffering continue for billions of more years.
So basically, you want to end suffering by making people suffer.
Well, again, it's not going to be worse suffering than life is causing. So for all of those who are begging for death, it will be a mercy and that they'll be celebrating. And then for all of those who are selfish and want to keep the sufferers suffering, yeah, it might feel like a little pinch or something, but they'll get over it.
Okay. Okay, I'll pass you on to a friend.
No, wait. So, I'm quite happy in my life, right? So, how many people do you reckon, if you enforce this, somehow you got the legislation to enforce this, how many people do you reckon would happily die?
Quite a lot. Yeah, many.
Wait, I wanna take it from the standpoint of the suffering itself. You're saying, I think it's human inflicted, right?
No.
What do you think it's inflicted by?
Existence, life, nature.
So you think we were all born for no reason? We were all born for no reason. We weren't.
Yeah.
I have to disagree. I'm handling.
I have a question for you. Have you heard of the Boserup and Malthusian theories?
No.
So that is, Boserup was an optimist. He believed that as we develop, we solve our problems, whereas Malthus was a pessimist. He thought that we'd like, as we develop, we run out of like resources that causes more suffering. So do you not believe that as we become more developed as like a world, we'll like find ways to solve our issues like suffering?
No, because the problem is that we have no respect for life. That's the problem, right?
And why do we have no respect for life? Why do you think that?
Yeah, because right now anyone can walk into a pet shop, buy an animal, and start torturing it, and no one will care. And then
But the animal can't perceive that it's being tortured.
They can go back.
They experience love.
How do you know?
It thinks it experiences love. If you have a dog,
that's silly.
you look
That's
after
silly,
the dog.
right? You're
If you have a dog, you
advocating
look
for
after your
animal
dog.
abuse.
It likes you.
Animals
It doesn't
suffer.
think you're
Don't be
torturing
silly.
it. That's the torture is like a human thing that we've made up.
Don't be silly. Animals do suffer.
And how would you know that?
It's obvious.
How?
Well, even if they somehow don't, it's better safe than sorry. Just in case they do.
But that's like saying, like, if you don't know something's true, you're assuming that. But
No,
I don't know that they
you're
don't
saying,
suffer.
yeah,
I don't
we
do
should
that.
be allowed to stab animals in the face because maybe they don't suffer. That's stupid.
This is a very select few you're talking about. You're talking
No,
about
no,
like.
it's really not. And even
Sorry,
one is
but
too many.
I've just seen someone in chat called Beth turn to sort of my mindset out, right?
Anyway, you're done. You're finished, right? The idea that animals don't suffer. Go and educate yourself, right? That's like literally, imagine the most uneducated, backwards person on the planet. Even they would understand that animals do suffer, right? Imagine someone in like a desert with, he's covered in waste and dirt and, he's like a complete crazy person. Even they would understand that animals do suffer, okay? So, for you to say that, you are pretty much the lowest of the low. You are pretty much the least intelligent person on the planet if you really think that animals don't ever suffer, ever. That's just pure insanity. So that just proves my point that people have no respect for life right now, right? They don't even care if it suffers, that they're happy to say it probably doesn't suffer, let's keep torturing it. Right? That proves my point. They have no respect for life. They don't care if it suffers. They don't want it to be safe. They literally favor danger over safety. Okay, let's see who we've got next. Bringing someone onto the stage. Mr. Logan. Hello.
Hello.
How you doing?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So can I ask you a question? How do you actually think this is gonna like work?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
you think
it
like
has
by
to,
coming
right?
on
The
these
sufferers are
lives and
depending on
like,
it. Sorry?
yeah, but I mean by you coming on these lives and making all these posts, you think the government's actually gonna think, wait, we should do this?
No, we don't expect the government to adopt this position at all. That's not how any movement or grassroots movement.
Yeah, but if the government's not going to go along with it, then how are you going to get the things to extinct everyone?
You know, when they were protesting against slavery in America, do you think they were just, asking the government nicely, or do you think they...
No, I don't think that, but I don't think... Yeah, but what's that got to do with what I asked you?
It's the same thing, right? All movements in history have gathered support until they've had enough people to affect change.
Yeah, but whether you got all these billionaires to come with you or not, or all the elites
What
or
billionaires?
whatever,
What are you
to go
talking
along
about?
with it.
What?
I'm talking the elites, the government, and the people
Logan,
who
that's
run
it.
the
You're
world.
done, right? You're not talking sense. You're probably on drugs or something. Asking the government nicely to do things is just silly. Okay. Hello, how you doing?
Fuck you. Come take me out, you asshole.
Okay, fair enough. We'll put you at the top of the list. Okay, who's next? No, obviously there is no list. Human extinction won't happen for hundreds of years at the very least. Okay, next person. Hello, how you doing?
Hello, James. How are you?
Good,
bro?
thank you.
I'm good.
Great. Do you have any questions for us?
Join Pro Extinction. Be part of the movement.
Yeah, exactly.
Be part of Pro Extinction and our suffering on Earth. And we gotta take out space too, bro. So life can't form on other planets.
Well said.
Yeah, it gotta be out completely.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Thank you for your support and join our Discord. The link is on my profile. Okay, moving on. Who have we got next? We've got Crazy Jess coming up next. Hello.
I just want to know, what are your plans? What are you planning to do if you did get elected, which I think is like highly unlikely?
Yeah, I mean, that's probably not going to happen for a long time, but if I did, I would use the position to push the message.
And you said causing total extinction, forcefully causing total extinction.
Yeah.
What if someone didn't want to lose their life? Would you still force them to die?
Yeah.
I think that's insane.
Well, you would think so, but actually the danger of suffering is much more insane.
I don't think that you can avoid suffering altogether.
You can with extinction.
Yeah, but some people, like living.
Yeah,
and
well,
it's unfortunate.
Yeah, well, they have to go extinct, so
I agree that
no big loss. Really. It's no big loss.
Suffering is, yeah, I agree. Suffering is unfortunate, but some people, I think life's precious, and you only live once.
You're this guy here, right there.
Everyone deserves a good,
you.
happy life.
This is you.
No, I don't think suffering is good.
So this isn't you, but this is you, right?
I think we should try and get rid of suffering.
Okay, how?
In a way that allows people to live. If you get rid of suffering?
That doesn't sound very fair.
If you kill everyone,
that doesn't sound very fair, Jess.
If you kill everyone, then it's basically meaningless because no one gets to enjoy not suffering.
So you don't care about the sufferers?
I do care about the sufferers.
It doesn't sound like it.
But I also care about the people
but Jess,
who want to enjoy life.
You're against having a zero tolerance policy on lives of pure hell?
I have a zero tolerance policy on suffering. Yeah.
So right now you can walk into a pet shop and buy an animal and start torturing it. How are you going to change that without garnering a higher respect for life itself and saying that life doesn't deserve to exist in such danger ever?
I think there needs to be really strict regulations on that going into a pet shop.
But strict regulations it's not total, is it? So it's still going to get abused. So why is that accepted? It's not fair, is it?
It's not fair and it's not acceptable.
So we should have a fair system where the priority is for nobody to be suffering.
Yeah, but that don't mean killing everyone.
Well, it
I don't
does
think.
mean that we have to decide, should suffering be ended as fast as possible? Yes, right? And is there
Yeah.
a way to do that without extinction? No. So it's the only right thing to do.
I just think that suffering is just inevitable in
Right.
life.
So yeah, exactly. That's why we have to stop it.
But we can't.
What?
We can't stop it.
Yeah. Look, Jess, extinction is the only way to end it, basically. There is no other way.
Extinction is the only way, but it's just the same as giving up.
Well, not for the sufferers, right? Those who are begging for death, it's the ultimate thing that they need. It's not giving up. It's actually, you're saying we should give up and not help them, right? So we're saying, no, we shouldn't give up on the sufferers. We should protect them.
Yeah, I'm saying we shouldn't give up, and we should try our very best to make
So
sure
what are you doing,
everyone
Jess?
doesn't suffer.
So what does that look like, doing our best, right? How are you what are you doing to make it so that animals can't be bought in shops and then tortured?
I will probably advocate for.
Right. So nothing, basically. You have no realistic answer. You're advocating for us to go for something unrealistic, which you can't even begin to explain how it would work, what it would look like, and something that is quite literally impossible, as opposed to something realistic, possible, something that's been tried and proven over and over again. Right? So, yeah. I mean, go and make promagic.com if you think that's realistic. Otherwise, we can see that you're not serious. You don't actually believe what you're saying. You don't even know what you're saying. Okay. Hello. How you doing?
Hi, I'm good, mate. How are you today?
Good, thank you.
Just asking, what do you think happens when you die? I'm not on your side or against it, just curious.
Yeah, it'd just be like before you were born.
And what was that?
Just nothingness.
So, would there be any existence whatsoever if we were all to die?
Oh, yeah. I mean, nature would still exist. The universe would still exist.
And what do you think the universe is?
I don't know. Matter and energy, nature.
Okay, would you relate our consciousness whatsoever to that?
No.
So, what do you think our consciousness is?
Well, rocks in space, they don't really have thoughts or intelligence, right? So consciousness seems to be something to do with experience and sensation and intelligence.
I agree. It is based on sensation. Now, are you aware that plants such as trees have more senses than humans?
That's debatable, but we should make those go extinct as well.
Fair play. And what would be your point for trees to also be extinct then?
Because they could evolve back to sentient life.
Okay, and they would evolve back to sentient life. If they have 20 senses, then they are sentient.
Yeah,
That's
so
what
abolish it. Make them extinction.
And what do you think would happen after that? Just literal nothingness?
Not necessarily. We might have to pass the job on to AI and robots who can keep doing it, carrying it out further and further for more of the universe. I mean, they've got billions of years to do it.
So transhumanism?
No, robots are, not humans, so it's different.
Yeah, that's why we're transitioning past humans.
No, I mean, AI, ChatGPT, that's not really classed as transhumanism.
I mean, it is.
It's just a matter of opinion.
It's literally
Well, what does it matter,
transition
Sean?
human
What's your point, Sean? You don't have a point. You're just wasting time now.
I'm asking you questions to see where you're
All right,
coming
Sean,
from.
you're done. You're done. You're done. All right, moving on. Hello, how you doing?
Why are you going to do a debate live if you're just going to drop people?
Oh, that's it. You're done. Because the thing is, right, we can't just let people go on forever. The people who say, oh, why are you kicking people? They're the same people that are complaining that are like, yeah, I would need a good half an hour to make 1 point as well, so don't kick them out. Hello, how you doing?
Hi. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes.
I think you have a point. It kind of goes back to the Buddhist notion of all sentient beings, but you're missing something.
What's that?
Well, think about it this way. Before you and I got here, we didn't exist forever. That's a loop.
No, it doesn't work like that.
Connect the
It
dots.
doesn't work like that. Once something
No.
exists, then it exists.
All I'm suggesting is that eternity passed before we got here. Eternity passed after.
No, we only started existing once we started existing.
Exactly, but the thing occurred.
No, we didn't have experience of nothingness before that or anything. We just
No, I'm not suggesting we had experience during that time. I'm just saying that you need to consider the implications of that. Also, you should consider
What are you talking about? I have no idea what you're talking about.
The perceptual framework that you have is based on your structure right now. Your sentience is trapped within a body. Everybody here could be viewed, animals, everything, as a sentient form encapsulated within a container.
Yeah.
Once you have sentience in a container, you're going to run into conflict. They have subjective viewpoints. They need to survive, to eat. They're going to basically articulate a framework in which they're going to consume others to continue their own existence.
Yeah, so extinction.
That's the thing, though. You're positing an idea that you could introduce AIs to maintain this extinction protocol, basically gray goo.
No, we're not saying that. We're saying we could try.
Well, yeah, you could try, but you also have to understand that the instantiation of all these AIs are hopelessly going to end up being sentient at some point.
If you look at it's not going to be getting diseases. It's not going to be getting abused by family members.
Now you're getting warmer. Yes, you're looking at the upgrade, and that's literally what they're making. This is what we're looking at right now, the end of biological life as we knew it.
Yeah, but, so what?
Well, it's another try, another swing at the plate, and maybe they'll get it a little bit more right this time.
No. They're not going to get it right. We just have to do total abolition of suffering, forget everything else. These people aren't thinking responsibly. They're not thinking about the right things. Their head is not in the right place, right? We should be thinking about responsibility, safety. Hello, how you doing?
Yo, hello, bro. I'm good. How are you doing?
Good, thank you.
No, I'm joking. I'm doing terrible. I think your move is. You have a good point on it because if life continues, there will be suffering.
Yep.
And there is no way to stop it. Like, there's no other way to stop it. The mental suffering, the physical suffering, suffering of animals, suffering of humans. You can't really stop that, you know. And there are people who think like life is worth the suffering because sometimes it's good, but for the majority of people, like, life is terrible.
Yep.
And there are the people who think life is maybe some terrible, maybe some good, but they don't get it that some people's life is just pure suffering.
Yep.
And it happens everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. You should join the movement, become an activist.
Yeah, for sure. That's all I want to say.
Yeah, thank you for the support.
Have a wonderful day.
You too. Yeah, thank you for the support. And yeah, consider becoming an activist, make videos, do live streams as well, right? We have to educate people that, there is a solution now and, there is something we can do about all of this suffering. Okay, moving on. Right, a lot of people are asking us, why don't you just end suffering a different way? Well, if anyone's going to do it, it's going to be us. Hello, Kanari, how you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, mate. How are you doing?
Good, thank you.
You've got a very interesting perspective. I don't really want to argue with you, but I do have, I think, two questions just to understand your worldview a bit better. Would you say that you're a pragmatic person? about like how you implement your philosophy?
I guess so. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm curious. You talked earlier about like preventing trees from developing into sentient life further by wiping them out as well. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's say that we eradicate all life on this planet. Does that mean that we've eliminated all potential suffering in the universe?
No, we should try and do the universe as well.
Oh, okay. How would we do the universe then? That is what my question is going to be. Like pragmatically, how would we go about doing that?
Well, we'd have to do it with science and technology, and we may be able to pass the job on to AI and robots and go extinct ourselves and let them do it for, billions and billions of more years.
But that doesn't necessarily mean it'll succeed. What if another sentient species outwits our robots in the future?
Well, we can only do our best.
Oh, hang on. If we can only do our best, are we just saying like we can give it our best effort to reduce or eliminate suffering in our lifetime and that's it?
I didn't say that, no.
Okay. So what ought we do then within our lifetime? Sorry.
Well, yeah, I mean, this will probably be a multi-generational project. So, we have to grow the movement for the future of the movement.
So we're going to have more human children we're going to promote suffering to end suffering?
Well, we can't end suffering without a vehicle for doing it, and humanity is the vehicle. So we do have to keep going until we've fulfilled our moral obligation and helped those who can't help themselves, right? It would be selfish for us to only help ourselves, not those who can't help themselves.
I see that. I was asking about our lifetime for a reason, though, because I presumed you would also be an antinatalist, because if you're about eliminating suffering, then surely producing more children is just fundamentally wrong.
No. Again, antinatalism does nothing. It's a self-defeating ideology. It discriminates against animals. It doesn't help anyone else's kids. It's literally doing nothing and then pretending that you're a hero.
Sorry, how so? The idea is to argue
because you do nothing, you don't actually help anyone, right? It's doing nothing.
Well, they're doing what you're doing, aren't they? They have live streams, they advocate, etc.
Not many of them.
I would say antinatalism is fairly big. You don't think David Benatar's got a large following?
Yeah, but again, why would I be an antinatalist, right? That's discriminating.
To reduce and eliminate future suffering.
Oh, well, you see, we have to look at the whole picture, and that's what you're not doing.
Okay. No, I'm not trying to like argue with you and fight back.
If humanity goes extinct,
I really want to understand where you're going from.
If humanity goes extinct before animals, then we won't be able to help them. And antinatalists simply don't care about animals. They think that animal suffering is good.
Oh, sorry. Wait, so would animals thrive in this universe after, or are we like eliminating them too? Sorry.
They would thrive in an antinatalist world, but that's a bad thing. So we would make them go extinct.
Oh, I see. So you're saying because we need to eliminate all life, we now have justification for continuing the human race because our goal needs to be to subsist as long as possible until we implement a system whereby we can go extinct and still secure the goal of eliminating all life in the universe.
Yeah, basically.
Okay. I think that's impossible.
Well, instead of looking for excuses, we should actually try to do our best.
I'm not looking for excuses. I'm asking you the reasoning here, but it just seems like there's no praxis to these ideas. How would you implement them?
Well, by growing the movement.
No, I get that, like on a human level, but like let's say we encounter a species that's just significantly more technologically advanced than we are.
But that has nothing to do with animals on Earth.
No, I'm sure, but like if I was just eliminating
you tell
Earth
me,
life and that's our only
you
goal.
tell me, how is that relevant to animals on Earth?
Well, it wouldn't be. We'd be eliminating Earth anyway, right?
It's completely irrelevant. So
I'm confused. I'm confused why you're focusing in on animals, though. Like that's
because you're saying that if we can't help aliens, then we shouldn't help animals.
No, I'm saying like surely we would want to help aliens as well and eliminate them as well. But how do we do that pragmatically?
With science.
Okay, but again, what if we just can't do that? What if that's not within our capabilities?
Well, then that's a shame, isn't it?
Okay, so this potentially just doesn't work out after full dedication of the human race?
Well, the idea that anything is guaranteed in this world, or that you would only leave the house if you were guaranteed safety, that's just cowardice, isn't it?
I'm not asking for guaranteed safety. I'm asking for guaranteed success of a plan. I think
that's cowardice. That's cowardice.
Not really. I can make a plan that I know will work.
I won't do the right thing unless is guaranteed to work. That's just.
If it doesn't work, is it the right thing? Is what I would question.
Well, that's like saying we shouldn't go to World War II. We shouldn't try and defend our country because we might fail.
What do you mean? We kind of knew that we would win.
All right. Thank you for coming on.
Okay, bud.
Thank you for your comedy act there, and say that we should only try and help others if there's a guarantee that it will work. So that's just insane, right? If there's only a 99% chance that I can help that child across the street, I shouldn't do it. What a crazy person. What an absolute crazy person. And I love how people are like, James just got wrecked. What, you think that we should only try and help people if there's a 100% guarantee that it'll work? That's insane, right? That's completely insane, right? The police should never visit a house to respond to a 999 call unless they have omniscience and know that they're going to be able to help. What a crazy person. What a completely crazy person. If they ran the world and someone said, I need help, they would say, no, I'm not going to help. I don't know for certain I can help. Hello, how you doing?
Hello. So what would be your plan for this to achieve total extinction? I don't understand.
Yeah, we have to grow the movement to make it possible. That's how everything's worked.
No, like how would you achieve it? Would this be like a mass genocide the entire world?
Well, it wouldn't be genocide, no.
But it would, because what if most people wouldn't share your worldview?
All right, thanks for coming on. But I mean, yeah, we would do it against their will, yes. But it's not genocide. You should look up the definition. That's a different thing. Hello, how you doing?
Good. How you doing?
Good, thank you.
What I want to ask you, I don't want to debate you. I want to ask you something, but I want to ask you what do you think about human evolution? You want us to go extinct, but what about evolution?
Yeah, we should prevent that. We should prevent it.
But probably we get so advanced we get immortality in the future or something like that. You feel me?
More what?
Immortality,
well, if that ever happens, that happens, right? But let's not dream about the future. We have to stay grounded in the here and now.
I guess, bro.
Exactly. All right. Thank you for coming on, and thank you for your questions. Moving on. Let's see who's next. Just give me a minute. All right, we've got Islam Ali joining us next.
Hey, what's up, man?
Yeah, good. How are you? Do you have any questions for us?
Hey, yeah, I do have a question. Why do you have a claim over how I live my life?
Well, that's the way the world has always worked. People have always made decisions for others.
Yeah, most of human history was unfortunately like that, like slavery, but
that's the way the world has always worked. Laws have been made without your consent.
Not after capitalism was born. That's not true.
Yeah. No, it absolutely is true, Islam Ali. Laws were definitely made without your consent that you are now forced to comply with. So if you're just gonna spit in the face of reality and say no, that never happened, then you're out of here, right? Your rationality battery ran out very quickly. Hello, how you doing?
Hello.
Hi, how you doing?
Are you aware of the accelerationist movement?
Yeah.
Why don't we just nuke everybody instead of extincting the whole race and then just start over again?
Because that's just insane.
Then how is that insane instead of killing the whole race?
Well, it's a different thing, right? Extinctionism is about maximum sterilization of as much of the world as possible to provide safety.
Yeah, but we can just start over again and we would have a
that's just
society.
A stupid idea. That's just insane. Why should we hope that billions of years of more evolution happen, right? That's just stupid, right? And the Earth is not going to survive that long anyway.
Yeah, whatever, dude.
Yeah, that's just an insanely ridiculous ideology. It doesn't even begin to make sense. And the idea that we should, just nuke the planet is just insane. And that's nothing to do with our ideology. The last asteroid had the power of over 1 billion nukes, didn't cause extinction. It's not a realistic way to do prevention or sterilization of the world. Hello, how you doing?
Thank you very much for letting me in. I'm just gonna read it
real clear of your prompt. Forcefully causing total extinction of all life is the only right thing to do because it ends all suffering. Okay, so existing whatever exists, we should remove all of that so that we can have no suffering at all.
Yeah.
Okay, so what is the suffering subjected to?
Well, it's more that, children and animals and people are subjected to suffering.
So for humans, you are saying you're getting biased as a human consciousness, you're getting biased that all existence should not exist because humans are suffering.
And animals as well.
And because of humans.
No.
Okay, so in nature, if a tiger attacks a deer, that is suffering to you?
Yeah, of course it is. That's obvious.
You don't call it nature that
No,
a
calling it
tiger has
you
to-
wouldn't. If it happened to you, you wouldn't call it nature.
No,
right?
no. Don't include humans in that. Don't include humans into
What are you
nature.
talking about?
I'm talking about nature. When you see
You don't think animals
shark,
suffer? You don't think animals suffer?
No. And
Okay. Well, you're living on a different
suffering,
planet. You're living on a different planet where animals don't suffer. It's not this planet, that's for sure. All right, moving on. Mr. S wants to join us next, I think. The queue is pretty much empty right now, so we need more volunteers to replenish the tree. Yeah, slap that button and come up and let's debate. All right, Manny, let's have you back.
I'm still here. I'm telling you what nature is. Like, do you understand what food chain is?
Yeah, it's suffering.
Okay, so you think nothing should exist. Everything should be like a dot.
Well,
Like
it's not fair, is it?
nature-
It's not fair.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, it's not fair, so we have to abolish it.
So if a tiger or a deer eats a grass, it's still a suffering, right?
It can be, yeah.
If a deer eats a grass, it's still suffering. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
God. Okay. You need to get a doctor. That's totally fine. I'm not going to debate you anymore. That's
You
totally
can't debate. You can't debate.
No,
right?
because you made a point that
You have
saying
no
eating-
counter argument. You have look. There is no argument against extinction, right? There is literally, quite literally, no counter argument. Okay, there just really isn't. There's no argument to say we should have an unfair, unsafe world. There's really no sensible argument where you don't sound like a complete crazy person. Hello, how you doing?
Hey, yeah, I'm good. Yeah, I honestly think you're right. I've been in like just this existential hole for probably coming up like 10 years now, and like no matter what I do, I think every day I wake up and it's just horrible. I honestly think being sentient is suffering. And so actually maybe now that I think about it, like non-sentient animals, how hard are they suffering? Because like just say a dog or a cat, for example. Do you think they're suffering a lot?
Yeah.
I guess with like domesticated pets, once like their human parents leave for the day, they're probably like real lonely all day, right?
I've always
So
thought that. Yeah, I've always had that thought. Right? Absolutely. Right? They probably are suffering terribly when you're not around.
Yeah, I think the world would be better off if it was just straight up like trees and plants and stuff.
The problem is they could evolve to suffer again, right? Give it 1 billion years and you've got cats and dogs again. So we have to do the most thorough prevention and sterilization of the world.
Oh, yeah. So just like blow up the entire planet?
Well, no. We would do animal euthanasia and try and get rid of all of them. But in terms of prevention of it ever coming back, there's lots of different ways to do it. For example, we could have an artificial moon that creates a permanent eclipse and just, makes the planet just a big ball of ice, right? Then there'd be nothing.
Yeah, that'd be nasty. Yeah. Yeah, honestly, like, especially the way the world is now, like, politically and financially and stuff, I just think it's actually unethical to have kids and bring more animals into the world. Honestly, I think you're right.
Yeah, well, consider joining our movement. Check out our website through the link on my profile. You've got the link to the website and the Discord, and yeah, you can continue the conversation with us on the Discord. And there's loads of extinction activists there as well. There's hundreds of people on the Discord now. Madeline, hello, how you doing?
Hello. Glad to be able to talk to you. I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you.
Well, I wanted to ask you because I think I still am anti-natalist, but I think you guys are taking a bit further than that.
Yeah.
In a way that it's a bit more aggressive. And when you say that you want a total extinction for all sentient life, I guess, are you in which way would that manifest? Would you go about in like radical compulsive empathy, or how would you manifest that? I don't understand.
Not radical compulsive empathy, no. We should do it in a rational and organized way. So we need to grow the movement until we have enough people to start running the world ethically, and then we can start with animal extinction. That might take hundreds of years, so we do have to keep reproducing temporarily until we've helped those that can't help themselves. And then we do the forceful human extinction as well.
Forceful, like people wouldn't be able to consent to doing it.
Well, look, we have the police, right? And they use force to defend you. Yeah. So, yeah, we do have to use force to defend life from being, forced to exist and suffering.
Like a genocide, I guess, then.
Well, genocides are just going to keep happening unless we do this.
How did you come to this conclusion? Like, what made you feel that this is the right path for you?
Yes, someone invited me to the movement about a year ago, and I said, great, let's end all suffering. How can I help?
It is a bit radical for me, I'm not gonna lie.
Well, suffering is radical, right?
I do agree that there's tremendous amount of suffering, immeasurable amount of suffering. I just don't see. I think it takes a lot to say what you say,
but yeah, I mean,
regardless whether someone else agreed to it or not.
I've got a vacuum cleaner in the background.
How is that ethical?
Yeah, well, I mean, we have to use force to provide safety for life. Anything else is unethical, right? If we don't use force to provide safety, then much more unethical things are going to happen, right? Much worse things are going to happen. So it's the lesser of two evils.
Okay, both sound equally evil to me.
Well, no, billions of years of more suffering is definitely more evil.
And you don't see any other way. You do not see any other route.
Well, if you can suggest one,
to make it empathetic, to change or shape the world in a more empathetic
No, because
way.
we have to provide maximum safety from suffering. Anything else is unethical and puts innocents in unfair risk and danger.
Okay. Well, thank you. I don't think I have anything else to say, but that was interesting.
Yeah, the thing is, unless you do maximum prevention of suffering, then you're saying, well, let's risk it, right? Let's put life in danger. For what? For pleasure? That's unethical, right? No one deserves to suffer. It's unfair. Only maximum safety from suffering is fair. Anything less than 100% focus on safety from suffering is unfair and unethical. Hello, how you doing? Oh, you chickened out. Fair enough. All right, let's see who we got next. That guy was all full of talk in the chat, but as soon as he got brought on stage, he noped out. Hello, how you
Hey,
doing?
James. So I heard a couple of days ago you said you were you used to be left wing, right? But then you sort of transitioned to this view of extinctionism. I'm just curious, what made that change for you? What happened to make you go from, being involved with these sorts of politics and then adopting such a different view?
Well, it was just more of a journey, really, of discovering better and better politics, essentially.
So what type of things were you looking into?
So I was watching the Young Turks on YouTube. I was watching the Jimmy Dore show, left-wing YouTube shows, basically. But I just started realizing that none of them are actually doing anything. None of them are encouraging activism. That they're not using the power of humans organizing together to do the right thing.
Also, what are your thoughts on eugenics?
We should improve genetics for the population, for sure.
Another thing I was wondering, how much do you value pleasure? Because I know suffering is this ultimate evil that we must avoid, but what is pleasure in respects to extinctionism?
Yeah, pleasure only has value when there's certainty of safety, and only basically omniscience can provide that. So, that's essentially the most unrealistic thing, the most unfeasible thing at this moment in time. And so extinction is infinitely more realistic and feasible. And so, pleasure is just meaningless. Life shouldn't exist without certainty of safety, basically. So in those conditions, safety from suffering has infinite value over any pleasure.
I remember earlier there was a bloke on here talking about simulations. Do you think you could simulate the mind for a heavenly experience? Would that be a better alternative to?
Well, the thing is, we don't know, right? We can try.
Yeah.
But it would be very complicated. And I do think that you would need omniscience to do it. To do it in a way that guarantees safety.
Just a bit more of a personal question. Are you afraid of death?
No.
Were you ever afraid of death?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I think everyone has a certain fear of death, but as extinctionists, we're overcoming that, and we're much less afraid of it than most people.
Okay. Good talk.
All right, thank you for coming up. I'll give you a follow. All right, let's see who's next. Okay, the troll wants to come back up again. Hello, Mr. Troll, how you doing?
Bro, how are you going to call me a troll when you kicked me earlier for making a good point? It just seems like you're on here to rage bait people at this point.
Was it a good point, though?
It was a good point. I was talking about how you basically force over the worldview on everyone else, which is basically a mass genocide that other people wouldn't consent to.
So what do you think is bad about that? Specifically, if you had to say one or two things, what's the
Well,
bad
you're causing more suffering to end all suffering.
More suffering than what exactly?
I didn't say more suffering than there would be total, but you're contributing to the problem, and you're forcing your will on other people. That's just as bad as any other dictator.
And ending all suffering is contributing to the problem? How does that work?
How is it not?
Because it ends all suffering.
You're saying that it would take several hundred years to achieve this. What do you think the population would be in several hundred years?
We don't know.
You don't know, but it could be a lot higher, and it looks like it's going that way. So you'd be ending a lot of life.
Yeah, so what?
The population back in 1950 to 1980 was only about 2.5 billion.
The animal population on this planet dwarfs humanity, right? Humanity's numbers are basically irrelevant.
That doesn't help your point.
It does. It does.
No, it doesn't, because you're saying you'd end all animal life as well.
You're not making a point.
I've already made a point, and you kicked me for it earlier straight away.
Tell us what your point is. Just shut up and tell us what your point is.
From my point of view, it seems like you have this dictatorship mindset.
So do you think that about the government as well?
Yes.
So you don't like it when morality is enforced?
But you're enforcing your morality. You're one person out of how
Your
many people
morality
in the
says
world?
that we shouldn't end suffering. That's not a good
I'm not
morality.
saying that. There's
Yeah, you
probably
are.
a lot better ways in the future as science gets better
So you're
to
saying we
help
shouldn't
end
do anything.
suffering.
We
You're
should
just
just sit
saying
back.
to make all life go
You're saying we
extinct.
should just sit back and do nothing.
No, I'm not saying that.
So what are you doing? Nothing.
Well,
Nothing.
obviously,
Nothing.
you've
You're
got
doing
your own
nothing. You're
website.
doing
I just
nothing.
came on you to make a point. And
You're doing nothing. You're doing nothing, and you're giving fake advice that you won't follow yourself.
Your advice is to kill everyone.
No, it's not.
Through sterilization.
So you won't follow your own advice. You're not serious. You're done. Okay. Moving on to the next person. Hello, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Never heard of this side of any thinking before. What is an extinctionist?
Yeah, so it's about it's an ideology which is against suffering and says that we should provide maximum safety from suffering with total extinction, as that's the only way to guarantee no suffering. Certainty.
And by total extinction, action of doing it, you mean like causing death?
Yeah, we have to do it actively. We have to carry it out ethically.
Ethically.
Yeah.
So like what happens when you're done? You just die too?
Yeah.
Huh.
Well, no, so we need to do animals, and then we need to do prevention of life developing for as much of the world as possible, and beyond Earth if we can. And then once we've done everything we can, that's when we make humanity go extinct.
So, and like the idea behind this would be like if I was going fishing, I caught a fish and I just killed it because I didn't want it to feel any pain anymore.
I guess so, yeah.
So there's no like right to actually being alive then.
Yeah, the reward is not worth it for the risk of suffering.
So what would be the point of being alive in the first place?
Well, who said there was a point?
I mean, we're here, aren't we?
But that doesn't mean there's a point.
I feel like if you're here, then there's a reason for it.
Well, that's a defect in your thinking, basically.
Why does that have to be a defect?
Because instead of trying to understand what the world is like, you're just assuming that someone put you here for a reason.
Not necessarily being put here, but I feel like everything has cause and effect. So if you are
that's not the same as there being a point, right? You can't say there's a point unless someone did that on purpose.
I said if everything's working in a certain way to be done, just like how your body is working in a way like a machine, then there's got to be work to do it. It's actively making sense
I
to
would
do
say that
something.
that's a childish way of looking at something and saying, well, if this does that, then someone must have done it, right? That's kind of a religious way of thinking.
No, not religious.
Yeah.
If there's a cause and effect of something happening, if two things are happening, like
but that's not the same. You're just talking about something completely different to there,
I'm
being
not.
a grand purpose, a point to all of this.
Oh, I'm just saying that if there's a reason why
Isaac, you're not making sense. You're done. All right, let's see who's next. Right, the queue is now officially empty. So I'm either going to take a break or maybe we'll have one or two more people on if anyone joins the queue. Queue is empty, so everyone is too afraid to debate. They can't debate against it. Yes, we can't blame them, really. There is no argument against ending suffering and providing safety from suffering. There's just no argument against it. Tracy is saying, this man can't decide. Well, say that to my face, Tracy. Say that to my face. Where is your accent from? It's cool. I'm from Nottingham, UK. Let's see if there's any more interesting comments. There's nobody willing to debate right now, so we're just going to have to wait for a courageous person to join. Evolution shaped life like that, and there is no such thing as good or evil. We are indeed suffering. Yeah, there's no point, there's no purpose, it's just pointless. And all it does is generate suffering and harm. So you think people don't struggle and suffer if they have a roof over their head? Yeah, people come from such privilege and level, ignorance and privilege that they say, yeah, nobody's suffering. Animals don't suffer. Like, it's truly mental. You need people in boxes. Yeah, and then...
Hello. Can you
Hello,
hear
how
me?
you doing?
Hi, so this isn't me trying to take a toll at like the extinctionism because I genuinely think ending suffering probably would be the best idea. But if I were to, I'll ask you a question. If I were to ask you a question of which, if you think like regardless of the extinctionism movement and the ideology of it, if let's just say we take the average person or any regular animal and they always follow their own intuition, would you not think that everybody following their own intuition, do you not think it would be very hard to achieve the final goal?
What, to go against survival instinct? Yeah, it's going to be hard, but we still have to try.
I suppose, yeah. Because I think, well, with everyone following their own intuition, everyone would think it'd be ludicrous to do such. So I think overall it'd be impossible.
Well, we've got lots of people joining the movement and agreeing to help make it happen. So we just have to do our best and give it a go.
I suppose so. All right, thank you.
All right, thanks for coming on. James Goodland, everyone. All right, Madeline is back in the queue for round 2 in the extinction zone. Beaming you up now. Madeline, loading in. And are they going to load? Don't know. Okay, maybe not. Death is joining us next, I think. All right. Death, are you joining the stage? Maybe you're not. Okay, let's bring someone else on. Kaysan, trying to beam you on now. Kaysan, not loading either. Not doing very well with Okay, some audio issues going on with Kaysan. Right, the queue is currently empty, so let's get back to the comment section for now. Not much else we can do. Who gives anyone the entitlement to think they're superior enough to make such calls for others? Well, you don't say that about the police. You don't say that about the government. What gives you the authority? Well, you don't walk up to politicians running the country and shout that at them, do you? You don't walk up to vegans and say, what gives you the authority to say meat is bad? So, the idea that you need authority to join a movement or to carry out extinction, it's a joke, right? These people can't think for themselves. They only appeal to authority. They're sheep, basically. Okay, we've got a couple more people in the queue. Moving on. But my point is that anyone can do activism. Anyone can speak out against suffering. You don't need authority to do that. You just need free speech, basically. All right, we want to live, James, even those suffering. Well, not everyone does want to live, actually. And you're denying their existence and their experience, basically, by saying that everyone wants to live. That's wrong. That's unethical. That's unfair. Well, I don't care if you do, right? It's not fair on those who don't. So fairness means basically, that we have to help those who need it the most, right? So that means, making a fair world also means, making it as safe as possible, making it so that, it's safety first. Nobody is suffering, right? You can't have a fair world where you say we allow extreme suffering and cruelty. In terms of fairness, that's one of the elements and principles of it, right? For things to be fair, you have to say, no one should be having fun at the expense of others suffering terribly. That should be obvious, right? It should be very obvious that only extinction is fair. No one suffering, no one being forced into a life of pure hell and being tortured. Hello, how you doing?
Hey, James.
Hey.
I've been listening for the past half an hour, and I get the general idea that suffering is bad and you want to end what's bad.
Yep.
I'm wondering how you handled if ending bad is bad, wouldn't ending good be bad as well?
Ending bad isn't bad, but yeah, the ending the good isn't as it's not really important. Basically, it's not that bad. It's not, happiness doesn't need to exist, and it's not fair either. Basically, so fairness is more important.
Okay, I get it. So because happiness doesn't have to exist, then so does suffering doesn't have to exist.
Safety from suffering does have to exist, right? The safety does have to exist, whereas happiness doesn't.
Okay. And do you have any kind of religious background?
No.
Okay. So no, do you have like hopes of heaven or?
Nope.
Huh. What about people who overcame suffering? Who genuinely like the living experience of the human condition?
Yeah, again, that's not fair on those who didn't overcome it.
Okay. But so you stand by utilitarianism?
No, extinctionism.
Right, but if some people overcame the I guess
Still not fair, though, is it?
suffering of
Still
living
not fair.
conditions.
You're appealing to unfairness.
Right, but wouldn't it be unfair to end the
Trying
life
to
of somebody
justify
who
an
is?
unfair and cruel system.
Excuse me?
That you're trying to excuse or justify an unfair and cruel system. It's like saying, well, some slaves enjoy being slaves, so we shouldn't abolish slavery.
Okay.
Right.
So what you're trying to say is that debating for extinction is fair, but debating against it is not fair.
No, I didn't.
Because
say
I'm
that.
justifying
No,
against it.
I didn't say that.
Then what did you say? I didn't understand.
I said that suffering existing is unfair, right?
Okay. To which I said the people who overcame it don't necessarily want to end their life.
Well, why should we care about that?
Because they're generally happy with the living condition.
So that means that it doesn't matter if the others suffer terribly?
Well, I think that ending suffering is a good thing, but
You're not answering that question? You're not answering that question?
Go back. What was the question again?
Are you done?
No, I'm not done.
Giving up?
I'm not giving up. I was making my point and you cut me off, but I was going to address the question.
Really?
I was.
I'm not sure I believe that. So the point was that you made it sound like you don't care if others do suffer terribly, as long as someone is okay.
No, I do care about suffering.
And
I care that...
you're dodging the question again?
No.
Second time in a row?
No.
So do you care about those who suffer? Because you quickly dismissed them and said, well, they're not as important as those who overcame the suffering.
I don't generally quantify the importance of humans.
So you're dodging the question for a third time. That's it. Thank you for coming on. So, yeah, James, why do you kick people out? Well, if they're avoiding the question like 3-4 times in a row, then they're done. That should be obvious. Hello, how you doing?
Yeah, what up, bro? I mean, it's what you're saying. I mean, it's true. Yeah, life brings suffering and all, but like everyone should decide for their own if they live or not.
Why?
You know?
But we don't do that, right? We get forced to exist. Yeah. We don't decide if we're born.
Yeah, so that's the point that. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, nice try. I applaud the effort there, but maybe try again later. Hello.
You hear me?
Yeah, how you doing?
Yeah, I actually do agree with a lot of your stuff. Totally agree with the whole movement. But the only issue I had, it's not exactly with your movement. It's exactly with like, if it's not able to be pulled off, is there a plan B? Like if for example, Oh, he's gone.
I'm still here. Go on. So yeah, plan
Oh,
B.
so I was saying, like, for example, hypothetically, let's say you weren't able to pull it off, unfortunately, mass extinction. Would like a plan B be like making extinction more accessible to people around the world? So like things like assisted unaliving, would that be an option?
No, that's not a realistic way to end suffering. So we wouldn't give up on ending suffering. We would just keep going no matter what.
Mm, okay. I mean,
But
literally,
if we do run the world and we're starting to do animal
yeah,
extinction and stuff, yeah, we would make euthanasia available.
yeah. I mean, it's the only right way. I think. I mean, it's the only way that makes sense. And I feel like
Well, no, because
if
extinction won't be optional, right? If you make it
no, I
optional,
mean,
then
I agree with you. I agree with you. Like only your way makes sense. Like it's inevitable. Suffering's inevitable unless you end all life. Basically, it's not
yeah.
something that you can like pick and choose for. But yeah, I mean, your content's inspired some of my content. I made quite a few videos from it. So keep it
Okay.
up.
Yeah. All right. I'll give you a follow. Thank you.
Cheers, mate. See ya.
Nice one. All right. Who else we got? We have a slightly confused person coming on next. Hello.
Hello, I just got one question. When you get to the point that it's time to move on with the animal extinction prior to the humans, I've heard you say that you only need a minority, number-wise, to support the movement. You just need to have like enough power, basically. Do you think that that would be like a hiccup though, where when once people realize what's going on, where you start with the animals, would that not like if you don't have a majority rules, wouldn't that cause an uproar and an uprising against the movement?
Maybe, but we have to try and solve that problem. And yeah, it might be that we run the world with robots and AI, and they can help enforce things. Yeah.
Oh,
Keep control.
Okay, so you're saying that you don't necessarily need a majority of humans because you could be supplemented with machinery or technology or something.
Yeah, and even if we need more humans, if we don't have enough humans on our side, then we would just have to try and change that. We would have to try and solve that problem. And part of the way that we're doing that is with donating sperm and eggs to get more of our genetics out into the population. For example, the person that made this movement, he donates sperm regularly so that 20, 30 years from now, there'll be, hopefully thousands of potential activists. So
that leads me to another question then. How would you, I don't know if you personally ever have kids or plan to have kids or whatever, but how would you approach that with, children that belong to members of the movement? How do you introduce the movement to
yeah,
them?
well, like I say, it is better to donate sperm because you can have thousands of kids that way. But for those that might have kids at some point, they're just going to raise them in a normal way, but teaching them about extinctionism and that suffering is bad.
So you're gonna give them the tools to, see your movement. You're not gonna make it like some of the extreme religions where you're sort of not given a choice.
No.
Okay.
No, because it depends on genetics, we would just have to make the decision, right? Are they genetically inclined to be extinctionist or not? If not, then it's a shame, but you have to take a chance.
Okay, so you're leaning into genetics as an important part of this then.
Yeah, we do have so intelligence and rationality and empathy is based on genetics. So the worse your genetics are, the more animalistic you are, and the better your genetics, the more science orientated you are.
Okay, all right. That's all I have for now.
All right, thank you for coming up. I appreciate the questions. Okay, Kei-san is in the queue again. Let's see if we can bring them up. But yeah, I'm probably going to take a break unless we get another person in the queue. So I might, make some videos and come back and stream in another couple hours. Oh, okay. Someone else is coming up. Hello.
Hi, I have a question.
Okay.
Wouldn't it be better if instead of birthing more people to join the pro-extinction movement, because you said that the pro-extinction movement isn't about anti-natalism, so what if I, as a woman, don't want to suffer the pregnancy pain? Wouldn't it be better to have more people join the pro-extinction movement, more people who are already in the earth, than not to birth another people?
Yeah, I mean, it can be a better use of your time to make videos and encourage people, educate people about it. Obviously having a child takes up a lot of time, but yeah, donating sperm and eggs, that can help you have thousands of children without having to put in the time. So that is a really good way for the movement to grow.
But maybe the child you have doesn't agree with the pro-extinction movement.
Yeah, but again, so if you're donating sperm, you're going to have thousands of children. Some of them probably won't agree, but the rest have a higher chance of agreeing.
Okay. That's all I got. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for coming up. All right, Nima is joining us next. Nima, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing fine. Good morning.
Yeah, cool. Do you have any questions?
A couple, yeah. First one is, so most people, of course, have a purpose assigned to their life, whether personally decided or, through whatever religion or philosophy they ascribe to. Do you view as the abolition of all suffering as your life purpose?
No, we don't really believe in purpose or spirituality or anything, or meaning or anything like that.
Interesting. Okay. So, no real purpose assigned to life. So, if there's no purpose or meaning at all, I think that can exist outside of religion, personally. If you have no meaning to your life and no purpose, why do you spend time on this?
Because we have something else, which is empathy and rationality. We know that this is the right thing, so it would be hypocritical for us to do anything else. And yeah, we have sufferers that are screaming in pain, relying on our help. So, we feel empathy for them, and we are going to help them instead of just ignoring them.
Okay, gotcha. Do you see any diminishment in the value of abolishing suffering if there is no life to experience a lack of suffering?
No, not at all. That's the only way to end all suffering, and so that the important thing, the valuable thing, is that nobody is in a life of pure hell, begging for death, wishing they hadn't been born.
Gotcha. So kind of piggybacking off of that, you've said that forced extinction could happen in our lifetimes, but there's been some ambiguity about the easiness of forced extinction on the Earth versus the universe as a whole. Do you believe the systems that could spread extinction with certainty across the universe is feasible within our lifetimes?
I mean, there is no certainty. So, anyone... So let's just ban that guy from the chat. Right, Himothy, you're officially banned. You'll never be able to watch this stream ever again. Goodbye. So, no, there is no certainty. We just have to try and do our best, basically. But
yeah. I mean, aside from a certainty, though, just probability, right?
How do you mean?
Do you think it's probable that forced extinctions could happen in our lifetimes, and on a scale that it could cover the entire universe?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's possible, but it's too difficult to make that prediction because the world is changing so rapidly, right? We don't know, the world 10 years from now is going to be completely upside down compared to today. So it's hard to say. It could happen a lot faster. It could happen a lot slower. We just have to do our best.
Okay. Next question I've got. What would you say are the best arguments you've heard both for and against forced extinction?
I think for me, one of the best arguments is that you actually have to, if you care about all life, right? So the only way to make ethical and correct decisions for life is if you actually care about it, right? If you don't care about it, you're not going to make a good decision for it, the right decision for it. So extinctionists care about all life and all potential life, and we actually fully empathize, fully care about them. So, people say, "Oh, I suffered terribly; it was tragic," but then they don't care if an animal suffers. We would give that same suffering and care to animals and other life, basically. And so, if you do care about all life, then you'll understand that suffering is completely unacceptable, and you'll also find it easier to see that saving those sufferers and helping them is infinitely more important than allowing people to have some shallow, trivial fun. Basically, right? Existence, happiness doesn't need to exist, whereas safety from suffering does. And unless you have a zero tolerance policy on suffering and lives of pure hell, then you have basically infinite acceptance of it, right? It means that you don't care about it, so you're just going to allow it, and that's infinitely unethical.
Okay, so that was the best argument for. What do you think is the best argument against?
I mean, I don't know if that's the very best. It's just kind of off the top of my head. In terms of against, well, in terms of against, I would say you could, I don't know. I was going to say you could organize for a utopia, but that's not possible. I was going to say you could organize for, reducing suffering instead, but then, nobody actually does that, right? No one actually does that. So it's also not a real option. So no, it's the only option, basically. There is no real counter argument, that there is nothing against it.
What do you mean by no one really? Do you mean that no one really does anything to minimize suffering because you think they don't go far enough?
Yeah, basically, you have people come up on the stream and say, "Oh, we should end suffering in a different way," and I say, "Okay, how?" And what are you doing to make that happen? And they say, "I don't know, but yeah, no, I'm not doing anything. I'm not going to do anything." And it's like, so you're suggesting something which you don't even believe in, which you can't even begin to describe, and which you're not going to do yourself. Like, there is no counter argument.
I mean, I could personally, and this is all personal, so I don't know if it's even worth spending time on, but I can just personally say, like, that's kind of my life goal, is to minimize suffering and make life as good as it can be for as many creatures who experience it. And so personally, I chose to go into engineering. I work on renewable energy, and that's been my life path. I think there are some who actually do take action. Just like your movement is relatively small, maybe it's a relatively small majority of people who
is that we live in a world that is controlled by overarching universal systems like governments, right?
Sure.
So if you're not doing anything to change that and to organize for a better government, then you're not really doing anything proper. You're not actually doing any real activism. Like, having a job, that doesn't really count.
Sure, but I could see your argument there. I could say too, I'm also politically active. I think political activism could also be considered to that end as well. So anyone who votes, right, if they live in a democracy.
No, voting doesn't count either, right? That's doing basically nothing.
Okay, so only large-scale physical action do you view as relevant?
Yeah. I mean, if you don't do anything to change the world, then you're leaving it to be run by criminals like Jeffrey Epstein.
Sure. And you don't think that small personal actions can be important over time to make large scale change?
Absolutely not. No, it does. It by definition doesn't make large scale change.
Doesn't it kind of seem like that's what we all have all at our disposal, though, that we really can't do anything other than small personal actions, right?
No, absolutely not. That's not the case at all. We can organize.
Okay. So I guess my counter to that would be, right, if I'm organizing and taking personal actions as well, to try to reduce as much suffering and improve the world? Wouldn't that meet your criteria?
Well, it depends if it's the right thing to do ultimately. You're saying that you want lives to be better, but you're ignoring all of those who are suffering by default, right? So right now people have suffering blindness, so that they just don't care about the sufferers. They just let them suffer and let them rot, basically. So that's not right. That's not fair. The only fair thing is a world where nobody is suffering terribly.
Okay. Going through some of the other questions I've written down. How quickly is your movement growing? Does your movement have any near-term goals?
It's growing every day. We've got people joining, saying they want to start doing activism and start donating and taking it seriously. So we've got something like 50 to 100 activists now, and that'll probably double in the next year, if not more. So yeah, it's growing all around the world. And in terms of goals, we just have to keep doing everything we can, keep growing and improving. But I don't know, it'd be cool to get some big debates on here. Debate some famous TikTokers or something. Grow the channel that way. And yeah, I'm looking to improve my show to grow it and make it better. Basically, see if there's anything we could do to take it to the next level. At the minute, I am the biggest activist in the movement in terms of getting people in and getting views. So we want to educate all of the new activists on how to start making better videos and stuff like that as well. There's a lot of room for like admin work and stuff like that. We're asking people to join no matter what they can contribute, whether it's videos, admin, donations, help in any way you can, basically.
Gotcha. So your movement right now is strictly focused on membership and not on anything physical in terms of advancing technology or...
Oh, no, we are doing science as well.
Gotcha. So that kind of leads us to my next question, which is you've said a couple times that the reason that your movement is justified, right, to say that, this is the right way to end suffering, that we are the ones to do it, is because you're more empathetic and more intelligent than others. Aside from a philosophical argument, more rational and empathetic than others. Aside from philosophical arguments, how do your movement's members come to that conclusion?
I think most people in our movement have grown up realizing that, we live in a crazy world, that it's run by criminals and dictators, that everything's upside down, everything's terrible. The more you learn about the world and how bad it is, the more you learn about the suffering and how unacceptable it is, and that you kind of grow more empathy for it that way, potentially. I think most people in the movement, just see the world the same way that I do, which is that the world is just full of mentally disabled people who are running the world and causing loads of suffering.
Okay. So strictly just people that have observed suffering for the most part, and then come to this conclusion. There's nothing really unique about your membership aside from that.
No, like I said, it is genetic, basically.
Okay. So you speak a lot about people's genetic capacity for rational thought and empathy. Are you a eugenicist?
We believe that, humanity would benefit from improved genetics, if that's what you're asking.
Well, I think there's a differential there, or a difference there, I should say, between thinking that humanity would improve if its genetics improved to a eugenicist, whereas a eugenicist kind of views actually taking action in one way or another.
Well, we are doing that.
Okay, so you are eugenicists.
I mean, we wouldn't call ourselves that, but we're heavily involved in genetics, yeah.
Okay. So let me look through the rest of my questions. Okay. So you mentioned that your movement would remain peaceful until a tipping point where it could take over governing institutions. Given the necessity for the acceptance of murder to your movement's goals, how feasible do you think it is that your movement grows to and remains peaceful? up to that point.
Yeah, I mean, we ban or deny anyone joining that has any sort of violent tendencies. We only allow rational, ethical people to join, and violence isn't always unethical or a horrible thing, an angry thing. The police do it. Veterinarians carry out euthanasia. So it's we wouldn't be looking for violent people to join. They're strictly against us, basically.
And
Against
I don't think you would be, but my question is if, at right now, 50 to 100 people, that's an easy group to moderate, relatively, to administrate, to observe. For your movement to actually reach its aims, it would have to be massive. And like you said, people use violence every day, police use violence every day, veterinarians, doctors, right? But also those groups do have significant issues with people using violence for personal reasons. And one of the concerns that I would have with your movement, especially because of its philosophy, even though its aims, right, are to reduce suffering, that simply the core underlying physical reality of what it would take to achieve your aims would open the door for a lot of people who are mentally ill, who do just like the idea of ending life because they take pleasure in ending life, not necessarily reducing suffering.
Yeah, that's a good point. But even if that does happen, so be it. Basically, right? We're doing everything we can to reduce that. We're saying strictly peaceful activism only. But if there's collateral damage, then that's what has to happen. It might be unavoidable.
So are there any members in your group who, as you talk about, the need to take over government, who are specifically focusing on the ability to do administration, to do governance? Because I think more than any other skill, that will be the most necessary if you're actually going to achieve your aims.
Yeah, I mean, we are developing leaders in the movement and leadership. But in terms of politics, that's not going to happen anytime soon. So it's not a focus at the minute. The only important thing really right now is growing the movement.
Okay. Let me make sure. I think I may have gotten all my questions out. So this is on a personal level. And this is why I kind of save this question until the end, because it's not so much a strictly, looking for explanation, more just a probing question. But if a person that you cared a lot about was being held in a home against their will, would you be comfortable with the police firebombing that home as a solution to that issue?
Well, firebombing, that sounds like quite a horrible way to go, right? So probably not, no.
Okay. Well, let's say not firebombing. Let's just say shooting the house up with machine guns. Take a 50 caliber machine gun and just blowing the house down with rounds. Would that be a solution you'd be comfortable with in that scenario?
Well, I would say that there would be goods and bads in that scenario, right?
What would be bad about it? They'd be ending the suffering of the person who's held captive.
Well, if they suffered terribly and, it took them a while to bleed out and it caused them loads of stress, then obviously that would be a bad thing. So it's not a good way to go about it.
Well, they're already stressed. They're captive, right? If they bleed out over a short period of time, it's got to be short, of course, to them being held captive for the rest of their lives.
You don't know how long it takes, right? It could take hours.
But yeah, it could take a while, right? But if they've been held captive, or they could be held captives for months, right?
I think you can definitely suffer worse from being shot several times than being held captive.
Have you ever seen somebody get shot?
Have you?
Yeah, I have.
So you think that, there's 100% chance that you would suffer more from being held captive than being shot?
I can guarantee you the suffering would be shorter.
That sounds very illogical and irrational. You can't actually make that guarantee, right? You're not considering all of the different ways it could go down.
I can pretty much guarantee that if you took 1,000 rounds of 50 cal BMG, especially incendiary, and you put it through a 2-bedroom flat, that everything inside of that would be dead pretty quickly.
Okay.
So my question is, would you view that as a tangible solution to somebody being held captive? If they'd been held captive, or if after that they would be held captive for months?
Maybe, yeah.
That's pretty scary to me, personally.
Well, life is scary, right? Being alive is the problem, basically, because you're in unlimited risk of danger for no reason. So yeah, safety is a good thing.
Okay. I guess, again, and of course, you're not stupid. I'm sure you understand the point I was driving to with that, right? Which is that the whole point that gets to is you have somebody who's already been suffering who could suffer more after that. Is it okay to destroy that person in this example to get rid of their suffering and the circumstance that is causing their suffering?
The thing is, these questions don't really work because we need humanity to keep existing while it's still useful. So if it's not useful, then it will be made extinct, right? So that's the overarching theme that you should be guiding yourself with to answer these questions.
Okay. So let me ask you, because on some of the other questions, it's kind of going back and forth. You'll say, well, eliminating all life on Earth will be relatively easy. Relatively. Put up a satellite, block the sun. I'm sure there's probably other ideas that have been presented out there. But then you also state that the overall goal is not just to eliminate life on Earth, but to eliminate life across the universe.
Yeah.
In a physical sense. And it's a very easy answer to say, oh, well, we'll make AI. AI will do it for us, right? But beyond just an intelligence to direct it, the technology and understanding required to achieve that goal seems extreme, bordering on the impossible. I mean, when you look at the ability to...
We have billions of years to do it.
Absolutely. And that's the usual response. Like, we have all the time in the world, right? So why not try?
Do we not?
I'm not arguing that point, no. I'm just saying that's what I've heard from you in the past. If we have all the time in the world, and even if it is such a lofty goal, my question is,
I know what you're
why?
going to and no, we shouldn't let people suffer terribly for infinite time while we try to do the most unrealistic thing possible.
Okay. So if we shouldn't let people suffer for an infinite amount of time while we try, what are the steps that you take now to try to minimize suffering while we reach that ultimate goal?
Extinction.
That's the only thing you do to try to minimize suffering. Is focus on an end goal of massive extinction, which could take us millions of years. Does that not seem dismissive of people suffering right now?
Well, it's probably not going to take millions of years. I mean, if we controlled the world tomorrow, we'd be starting extinction immediately, and it would immediately start helping the victims. So that doesn't take millions of years.
No, but let's be realistic. Let's say your movement grows at an exponential scale. It would still take a long time before you would be to a point where you could control the entire planet. So do you take any actions in the meantime to try to minimize suffering? Is there no value to minimizing suffering in your everyday life? Is the only laudable goal to completely eliminate it?
No, that's silly. The vast majority of suffering is in nature, over 99% of it. So, focusing on a tiny, tiny minority of those who are in the best conditions is just silly.
Gotcha. So I've heard you say too a lot, like, I think yesterday in a live you discussed, a cockroach not having a fulfilling life. May have been your words. How do you realistically know that? I mean, our life experience is so vastly different from all other life on the planet. I think it's pretty easy for a rational mind, right, to see, an animal getting eaten and say, that is a terrible way to go. That's in terrible suffering. We shouldn't allow that to happen ever, right? But life is so varied in its forms and in its experiences. Do you not think that it could be kind of narcissistic to say that we have the understanding to determine how that life should exist from our own will?
We can definitely say that cockroaches are not having an amazing time. They're not having a blast, right? No animal is. They're all just desperately trying to survive and having to kill each other and lose limbs in the process. There's nothing fulfilling about it at all.
How do you know that?
Science, right? We know how brains work. We know how dopamine works. We know how reward systems work. We know how animals work. We know that they're not having a blast.
You could say science in neurology, but also I know for a fact that we've barely studied the majority of animal life on Earth. Doesn't that seem like a pretty big leap to take when we don't have that information?
We do have that information.
So you think that we as a scientific community have a solid understanding of the neurology of every animal on Earth?
Many of them.
Okay. That seems like a leap to me personally.
Well, you should educate yourself.
Okay. This is my final thing. You consistently mention victims of child sexual abuse as the benefactors of your ideology. As a victim myself, I can say that I really don't appreciate being a tool for your arguments, and that I see the same narcissistic tendencies in my abusers and the attitudes you present. I hope you reflect on that.
We're focusing really on those who would have been better off not being born, and who is really right, because people have a tendency to say, well, we should only focus on the happy survivors and just ignore those who don't survive, right? So yeah, we should absolutely,
happy or not, I'm just saying that I think
we should highlight suffering, right? And you don't have the right as a sufferer yourself to say, don't expose my type of suffering, don't expose the others that are going through it. You don't have the
It has
right
nothing to do with exposure. It has everything to do with.
It does, and you don't have the right to say that we shouldn't expose suffering.
I think you should expose suffering. I think you should highlight it. I think you should put it forth to the public. What I don't like is that you're pawning suffering off for your ideology of specific people and specific experiences. And I don't find that.
There's loads of different experiences.
Yeah, but you specifically use child victims of abuse.
What does it matter?
It matters because those people's experiences and their ideas are theirs to use. Not yours.
No, they're not. So again, you can't say that we're not allowed to expose the suffering of certain victims.
But you're not just exposing it. You're saying there's child sexual abuse or whatever. Everybody knows that. You're not telling anybody any new information. You're strictly using it for your ideological arguments.
Well, what's the alternative? Why does it matter?
The alternative is let people who have suffered use their own suffering and what they learn from that.
So don't speak out against suffering. You're garbage. You're done, right? You're finished, okay? People are always saying this, right? Unless you're, black, then you can't say that racism is bad, right? That's a stupid idea that literally leads to more suffering. It leads to, it literally says you cannot speak out against cruelty. You cannot speak out against injustice unless you're the one suffering. But that means that there's going to be less people trying to end that suffering, less people speaking out against it. What you're doing is literally supporting more child abuse happening by saying we shouldn't speak out against it. So no, we're not going to let people on the stream say that, right? We're not going to let you come up in here. We're not going to let you have the platform to say that victims of child abuse or any abuse should be hidden away and never spoken about. Right? You don't have the right to do that just because it happened to you, and you are ignoring those who suffered worse than you. You're saying we should only focus on the survivors and we should forget those who didn't survive, just pretend they don't exist, right? That's insane, and that guarantees that it will just keep happening again and again. It's literally basically saying child abuse is fine because, I survived it. That's it. That was his argument when you really think about it. Child abuse is okay because I survived it. and you shouldn't speak out against it. So, yeah, we're not going to platform that. No way, Jose. All right, bringing up the next person. Hello, how you doing?
Hello, doing well. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
I was just listening for a bit. I was just wondering, do you have an argument or some reason for this prompt? What obviously the prompt contains that your goal is to end all suffering by extinction. I'm asking for that prompt. Do you have an argument for that?
Yeah, so extinction is the only way to end and prevent suffering. So it's the only ethical thing to do.
Okay, let's say that's true. Extinction is the only way to end all suffering. Do you have an argument that we should do that?
Yeah, it's the only fair thing to do to make sure that nobody is suffering terribly, right? So to make sure that everyone is safe. Safety first, fairness first, right? Yeah, we should make sure that there's nobody begging for death instead of letting people beg for death and not helping them.
Yeah, but the issue there is that fairness is the thing in question, right? I'm asking you to justify that it's a good thing, which here would be equivalent to say that it's the fair thing to do. Presumably you're using fair to mean good, meaning that we should go forth in this action, but that's the very thing in question. So do you actually have an argument for that, or are you just going to keep using synonyms for good?
Well, yeah, like suffering is too extreme and terrible to allow, right? It's not fair, it's not right for those who suffer.
Well, you're just restating yourself again. Don't use the word fair for good.
Okay, Joanna, thank you for coming up. That's clearly another person that struggles with simple concepts, such as, suffering is bad. Whoa, what? You can't say that. How can you prove that? So what? Someone screaming in pain, you can't say that's bad? Well, the reason you can't say that's bad is because you have a genetic defect, which makes it difficult for you to understand anything that would make you less likely to reproduce. And so that's why people have all of these confusions and they say all of these silly things. It's because evolution has specifically made it so that they are genetically less capable of understanding, or incapable even, of understanding anything that will make them less likely to reproduce. So understanding that suffering is bad, that makes you less likely to reproduce. Understanding that we can do something about all of this, that makes you less likely to reproduce. So yeah, essentially evolution made it so that people were less intelligent and couldn't understand things properly because it would make them less likely to reproduce. Think about it this way, what's more likely to reproduce? This guy over here? Yeah, do we think this guy is more likely to reproduce or this guy? What do we think, Chet? This guy here, or this guy? Okay, so yeah, it's absolutely genetic. You have more animalistic people, more animalistic genetics that make you look like this, and then you have better genetics, better empathy, better rationality that makes you look more like this, basically. Anyway, yeah, that's been fun, guys. We're going to take a break, maybe make a couple videos, have some lunch, and probably come back in an hour or two. So thanks for joining, everyone, and we'll see you all